This is the first time that these cars have been available in the lineup as M models. And for the first time ever, BMW are launching them at exactly the same time as the M Competition models. But not only that, they will be powered by a brand new Super Beast 6-cylinder inline engine. So today, we're going to be taking a closer look just to whet your appetites a little bit and let you know what you should be expecting. I think the first thing to mention with these cars is you can see from the front profile quite how similar these two models are. So we're going to focus on just one in order to give you a sense of the front and then show you from the side how things really start to mix up once you start moving along. I think the first thing to mention right from the start is what a great job BMW have done with their larger SUVs of maintaining their unique BMW look. I always think it's interesting to look right at the front of this car, and if you can, just visually knock out the bottom third. It's really interesting to see the DNA of BMW sitting within this kidney grille and the way in which the bonnet wraps up into the front of the car. Really the only differences between this and what you'd standardly expect is we have a shorter, more snub nose and a greater degree of drop off on the bonnet. But there's so much striking similarity, and it really has managed to maintain that characteristic that's been so popular and so successful right throughout the vehicle. If the front has whet your appetite, how's this for a side profile? Well, the first thing to mention are these wheels here. So on the M model, they are 20 inches, but on the Competition you get an extra one, so we have 21-inch custom wheels. And as you can see, the styling fits in very nicely with the body. Now, there's been a lot of real effort, I think, has been made by BMW to make sure that some of those competition features that we know and like so very much elsewhere have been echoed and mirrored here, so it really feels that it sits well within the lineup. So, for all M fans, I'm sure you will notice this styling of mirror, not joined at the top, but very stylish and really noticeable. This, again, as with the bumper, is in carbon fiber. You're not going to be able to get that on the Competition straight away. It comes out slightly later on. Round at the back, we can see some more Competition-specific features. You have a look at the way the roof has been sculpted in with this spoiler at the back. It's very subtle. It looks completely intentional and almost as if you just can't imagine the back of this car being any other way. I really like these Competition carbon fiber spoilers on the rear. They're discreet, they're stylish, but they really just give you a little visual accent at the back. Coming down slightly further, we have these wraparound, very angular rear lights, and then this massive boot. Coming down further still, you can see we've got the carbon fiber finish on the bottom here and these black enamel exhaust pipes, which I'm pretty sure you can see even from there are absolutely not just there for cosmetic purposes. Now, they do have special flaps on the inside which helps regulate the noise, and that just helps get just that little bit more enjoyment out of the song of the engine when you hear it powering up. If that swooping coupe roofline of the stunning X4 isn't quite your thing, or let's be honest, we're always a little bit worried about headroom in the rear, then we have the X3, and that is going to provide you with a little bit more of a usable rear. Now, this is a tricky one because in terms of practicality, obviously you are going to want to have a little bit more space in the interior, and I have no doubt, without even having stepped in the car, that the back experience in this is going to be more comfortable and practical. But, and for me it is a bit of a but, if you're going to have a car where performance is key, then I think the styling is also important. So it's definitely going to come down to taste, but I'm a fan of the M4. I think to hell with it. You know, I really want it to deliver everything I want aesthetically. But that's from the side perspective. And this is where I switch my allegiance. Having said that, I think the profile of the X4 works better Once you come around to the back, you start recognizing the cost of having that coupe line. So without even having gone inside the car, here we can see what additional space does to the rear, and I like the way this breaks up the car visually. Again, we have a special air rediffuser just for the rear of the car, which I think looks really nice. This massive back, which is in common with the X4, for me is very much visually broken up by the additional real estate that we have here. So I don't find the back of this car as bulbous, or I guess as aggressively large as with the X4. So for the rear, I'm going to go with this one. While we're around here, let's take a look in the boot and see how we're doing for space. Now, if we fold those seats down so we can have a look and see just what we're looking at, we end up with a total space available to us of 1,600 litres. Now, as you can see from just that one seat being dropped, that's plenty of space. What's particularly interesting to me about this is when we go and have a look at the X4 in just a moment, that has 1,430 litres of room. So in actual fact, if you really want that coupe design, you're not dropping that much by way of potential storage. As you can see, obviously, we know where it's come from. It's come from the boot, but you still have ample load space even with the coupe roofline. So I would say in terms of this, your option really is dependent upon styling and how often you think you're going to be needing to put things back here. Okay, so you like the styling on the coupe model. You decided that's the one for you. How much of a compromise do you have to make? I think you'd have to agree. That's a pretty great boot. 1,430 litres of load with the seats folded down. And although it may not quite have the practical application of its companion, it does have more than enough room back here. I think unless you're really going to be wanting to be in and out of the boot, you can really fit everything you want in the X4. So for me, because we're talking almost identical performance, it really comes down to a matter of personal taste and style. Well, this is an exclusive interior and it really does look rather special. Sadly, from our point of view, we can only get these interior seating in leather. This particular finish features Alcantara as well, and I think in future there might be much more of that type of material available. But for now, it's all leather and there is a lot of nice styling detail throughout. Everything resonates quality, as you would expect it to, in fairness, but the attention to detail is lovely. Look at the way this stitching line just wraps from the side over onto the top and then just goes straight into this speaker at the end. Well, because this is a pre-production car, we can't show you fully how the software interacts with the system, but I can start it up just to bring some life into those displays so you can see what you will be getting or getting an idea of it. So this is not the finished version of the software, it's just to show you how these displays work. And you're going to need to listen to a couple of chimes while it tries to get itself configured. So let me switch that off. In terms of how the interior interacts, you will find this is very familiar looking if you are used to these cars. Interestingly, we do not have any Alcantara steering wheel option, which is available on some other competition models. I think I would have liked that, but my understanding is that within this segment, leather steering wheels is just the way that it is. Well, the immediate answer is yes, the rear seat passengers have not been forgotten. However, I do think it's worth pointing out that if your driver is taking the fullest advantage of all of that power sitting up front, you're not going to be experiencing the same body hold here in the back. So I can imagine you might be doing a little bit of rolling around on the bench seat if your driver is enjoying everything that's at their disposal. Well, we always knew the back of the X3 was going to be a comfortable experience, but the X4 with its swooping roofline, let's find out. Ah yes, a little bit of a different experience. I'm 5 feet 10 or 178 centimeters. I'm not the tallest guy in the world, but I do have quite a long torso. And as you can see, I would rate this okay. I mean, I'm actually pretty comfortable. I could take a reasonable drive back here, but any long distance, it's a no-brainer really. If you have tall people that you think you will regularly need to fit into the back of this car, you're gonna need to go with the X3. Once we get into the front of the X4 with this particular styling, it's really interesting to pick up the difference in contrasts. I am all about the way that styling looked on the X3. In here, I find in the front is a little bit too conservative. This car is all about power and performance and agility, and I don't want it to look too severe. Let's take a look and see what's powering this beast. Oof, that is a brand new and specially designed 6-cylinder inline engine. It's exactly the same engine no matter whether you go for the X3 or the X4 or if you want the standard M or the Competition, but the power output is of course different. If you want the M model, that's going to deliver you 480 horsepower and 600 Newton meters of torque. If you go with the Competition, you get 510, still 600 Newton meters of torque. That will deliver you a 0 to 62 or 100 kilometers per hour speed of 4.2 seconds for the M or 4.1 for the Competition. Wow. Now, it's not only that that's been changed in this car, and I put it to you, given that modern engines are so busy with engine covers and hiding over complicated components, from a design aspect, it's always a little bit of an interesting challenge to see how they're going to present the engine to us to still make us think, yes, I want it. And I really like the way that this has been finished. This is a very important detail because we have so much power in this car now. Lots of things have been changed, but one of the most important is the torsional stiffness of the chassis. And for that, we have this special mount. Now, this is optional. This is carbon fiber. We can also get that in metal, and you can see these support struts. These deliver such a change dynamic to the driving experience that the engineers claim if you even undo one of these bolts a little bit, they will be able to feel the change in driving dynamic on a regular straight road with no particular drama attached to it. Well, that's quite some claim. But I think once you start getting into using the full power that this engine can deliver, you're really going to be pleased that you have all of those bolts nice and tight. So what is all of this lovely car going to set you back? Well, if you're buying in Germany and you want to start with the M's, they are going to run you 85 for this one, 87 for this one. If you want to go for the Competition, and of course you're going to want to do that, that's 94 and 96,000 euro respectively. Ouch. Okay, so that's not cheap, but come on, I think we all knew it wasn't ever going to be. So this is only a first look, and clearly we didn't get to drive the cars. But just those numbers from the engine alone, and when I can see the amount of attention to detail that's been put into the design of these vehicles, I have no doubt at all that the driving experience is going to be something pretty special as well. So, could a car possibly be worth that kind of money? Well, ultimately, that's going to come down to how much disposable cash you have to spend on a car. And at that price point, yes, there is an awful lot of competition. What I like in particular with BMWs is that generally what you see is what you get. So if you like the styling and you like the traditional BMW drive, I'm really very confident that you won't find anything here to disappoint and only things to make you feel happy. I hope you've enjoyed watching this preview with us. If you have any comments or questions, please pop them below, please subscribe, and we hope we'll see you again soon.